Alright everybody, so today we're going to be doing a compression test on the old ST, and the reason behind it is because I've just kind of had some weird feelings about the engine and its health, only because it does have 72,000 miles on it, and I've put all the miles on it, but it makes a lot of power, a lot more power than it would from factory, so I'm just a little concerned about the health of the engine, and it's just good to check up. So the kit that we're using, it's not going to be the most accurate measurement, but it's Harbor Freight. You can go pick it up at Harbor Freight. It comes with pretty much everything you'll need for most of any cars you're going to be doing a compression test on. And these are all the fittings you're going to be using for the different thread pitches and different size spark plug holes, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, so first step, obviously, pop your hood for this car, and this car has an engine cover. Just kind of pull up on it, take it off, and then you can see there's these coil packs here, and this is a 4-cylinder, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 coil packs, and all you're gonna need to do really is take off each coil pack. Make sure you don't mix them up, keep them in the right order, so that way you know where they go after you're finished, and then take out the spark plugs, and then we'll get into the steps you need to take to actually complete the compression test. Alright, so before we dive into this, I just wanted to say that if you want to get accurate measurements and you want to be safe with this, you need to have the car warm. So go drive it, drive for like 5-10 minutes, come back, and then just make sure the car is at operating temperature. That way, you know, all the metals are expanded to where they would be an operating temperature, and the oil is at the correct temperature to be safe when you're cranking over the engine with no ignition. So yeah, let's get into it. So first thing you want to do before you remove the coil packs is, I already removed this one on this side, but there's a little plastic piece or a little bracket for the harness that goes on top of this one here, and then there's one more on this side. You just kind of have to work them off one by one. There we go. So that's off, and then all of these bolts here are all 8mm heads. So just get 8mm on your ratchet and you start cracking them loose. Alright, so what I'm gonna do now, I got all of the bolts out, and I'm just gonna label these. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. That way I don't get them mixed up, and because I'm gonna unplug all of these little plugs right here. So I'm just gonna take them all out and put them, when I put them back, I'm just gonna put them back in the order that I have them set right now.
Pretty sure I got only stop smoking today.
Oh, numero uno.
Who is that?
Number 2. Boom. Alright, all the coils are out, so now we can get to removing the spark plugs. For my spark plugs, it's a 5/8 spark plug socket with a little rubber O-ring in there to catch the spark plug, so I'm just gonna start taking them out.
Put some scrimp into it. Some scrimp.
Oh no! There you go. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So what I went ahead and did is I took all the spark plugs out already, and every single spark plug that I pulled out, I put it inside its corresponding coil. That way I didn't mix any of them up. That way we won't have any issues with misfires or anything of that sort. And while they're out, make sure you check your spark plug gap. I looked on some forums, and they said these are NGK spark plugs, iridium spark plugs. They come pre-gapped at 0.040, I believe that's inches. They recommend on the forums that if you are tuned, you should run them between 0.026 and 0.030. inches. So just keep that in mind and make sure, I mean, if you want to, you can check the gapping on your spark plugs, or you can just change them. But in this case, these are somewhat new, so I'm not going to change them. But we are pretty much ready to start the process for the compression test. So I'm just gonna take everything out, get it ready, and then we'll get back to you when we're about ready to start it. So what you're gonna want to do before you stick the correct fitting for the air gauge into the actual head of the engine where the spark plugs were, you're going to want to spray some WD-40 on it just to make sure it creates a good seal around the spark plug hole. That way you can get an accurate measurement. So after you spray a little bit on it, we're going to start in cylinder 1 here, and you just thread it in, and then once it gets tight, just give it a couple good snugs, and the O-ring on the hose should seal that nice and tight. So now we're gonna grab this air gauge here and secure it onto that hose. So now this will give us our reading of our compression for cylinder 1. So we're gonna go one cylinder at a time, and we're gonna show you the different results that we get for each cylinder. For this car in particular, they say at sea level, you should see a reading for a healthy ST engine, you should see a reading between 160 and 170 psi. So, I mean, we're roughly 1,500 feet above sea level, so they said it will be lower the higher elevation you are. Just keep that in mind. Now, I'm gonna hop in the car, and I'll show you what you need to do to get the best measurement possible on your compression test. Alright, so what you're going to want to do, here, let me shine a light. What you're going to want to do in this car in particular, pretty much for any car, once you take out the spark plugs, your engine won't start. But whenever you do a compression test, you have to make sure that the throttle is wide open. That way you have all the air possible going into the combustion chamber. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to push the clutch all the way down and push the accelerator all the way down. And now I'm going to crank over the engine, and then we're going to have Ben over there. He's reading the gauge. He's going to tell me when to stop when he sees the needle stop moving. We'll show you later with a different cylinder, but I'm just going to crank it over.
We're good. You're looking at like 120.
120?
Yep, right below.
All right.
We'll run it one more time.
One more time?
Yeah.
I'll record
All right.
it.
We're good.
Sitting right below 120, bud.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Now we'll move to cylinder 2 and see what that reads. And what you're looking for really is an even number across the board. That way it's not like a problem in one cylinder. Like if let's just say cylinder 1 is bad and it's reading 120 when it should be reading higher, and all the other cylinders are reading like 140 or something, we'll know that there's something wrong in that cylinder or with the valves, or something is leaking air in the compression. So we're gonna test cylinder 2, and yeah, we'll show you guys what that. You're good.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing?
On the dot.
All right, cool.
DC cylinder 3. So in between each cylinder, you also want to clean the debris off of the actual threads. Make sure you're not putting anything in the threads that you could cause damage with. And then you're going to put a little bit of this WD-40. Damon, I just got it all over you. I'm sorry, bud.
That's alright.
Okay. Well, we're going to put this one, cylinder 4, last one. Yay.
You're good.
Same all across the board.
That, I guess, is a plus. I mean, as long as none of the readings are lower than the other ones. I mean, it's good to have like a 10% difference, plus or minus 10% difference between each cylinder.
Once again,
but,
it's a Pittsburgh. It's not gonna
yeah, and it's a Pittsburgh compression tester, so it's not going to be like the most accurate measurement we could get. It's just kind of to give us a ballpark measurement of the compression in the engine. But like I said before, the engine does have 72,000 miles on it, and it makes a lot of power. So, and it's got all not all forged, but it's got all the stock internals. So I am going to be building another engine, which I'll show you later. Yeah, it's over there. And that is gonna be fun, but until that point I'm gonna have to deal with this engine and its health at this point, and I just wanted to make sure that it's gonna last me as long as it's gonna take to build that engine. So I'm just gonna show you how to put everything back together, and yeah, I'll show you the engine. I'm just putting back the spark plugs right now, and then after I get all the spark plugs back in, just throw the coils back on, start her up, and she should start.
My dual flame.
Hopefully. Now this is not the best way of doing this, but we do not have the best spark plug socket, so you gotta work with what you got. All right, so the coils go back in to the cylinders that they came out of. This is cylinder 1, and this is cylinder 1 here. So just go back in there and make sure that you get them in there good so that it clicks on the actual spark plug right there, and then just plug it in, and then push this securing clip forward, and that's it. Just do that with every cylinder and you should be chilling. There's that one and that one. Alright, so now you just gotta put the engine cover on, but we're not gonna do that. But we are going to, yeah, we are. But right now we're going to calculate the PSI through the equation. That way we can kind of get a more realistic measurement of the compression ratio. Because like I said, we are at a higher altitude, so it will read lower. So yeah.
Can we get the EPU before that? Because it's raining.
Alright, so we have the stratified website up right here, and on the website, I don't know if you can see it, you got it focused, we had it wrong. I thought you multiplied to the I guess the value that they say that you need to do for elevation.
Oh, sorry.
I thought you had to multiply the value, but that was only if you got those results at sea level. So we got 120 across the board, so you figure we're at around 1,100 elevation, almost 1,200 elevation actually. So we just kind of rounded down to 1,000. So right here, if you can. All right, so since we're at about 1,000, we divided this value right here to the results that we got. So 120, we divided this, so we'll show you right now. That was 0.9711. Got my calculator. So you go 120 divided by 0.9711. So we're at around 123 psi per cylinder, based on that method of narrowing it down. Honestly, it is pretty low compared to like what they expect with a healthy engine, like 160, 170. But the engine does have a lot of miles on it. It does make a lot of power, and I feel like because of that, possibly because of that mileage, I feel like the piston rings could be wearing down a little bit, and I feel like that could be an issue, or not an issue, but that could be the reason why it's not reading the exact numbers that we would expect for a healthy engine. But at the same time, it was a Harbor Freight compression test, so it could just be the system that we were using. but like I said earlier, I'm planning on building another engine, which I'll show you right now. Here are the pistons for it. We already took them out. Here's the stock pistons and the girdle right here. Have the block over here. So we got the head sitting right here. And this engine only had 25,000 miles on it. So we got the head here, all of the accessories that go on the head and the timing and everything else like that. And then here's the block. So I just plan on building this slowly. Hopefully the engine lasts. Like I said, I wanted to do that just to see the health of the engine. That way I can know whether or not I can still push the engine or, you know, enjoy it. But yeah, as time goes by, I just have to, you know, save money, build it, and then hopefully we'll make a beast. And then at that point we'll have some fun. And when we're gonna record all of that so you guys can see all of it and keep up with it. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, comment, like if you want, and see you in the next video.